Okay, hope you all can hear me. Yes or no, please? Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So welcome to the session. So we are going to start, or we are going to discuss on Azure from today. So we already completed Amazon Web Services, and we are heading to start Azure today. So we'll try to understand how we can start working on. 1 second, guys. So I think a few of them are also attended, AWS sessions and AWS and DevOps sessions from Madhu. So, and many of them are also from, my sessions who attended AWS. So the reason why we started this Azure is, in interviews, people are expecting multi-cloud knowledge so that it will be helpful people who already attended the sessions on AWS plus DevOps and AWS. So you can add your resume Azure. You can add in your resume. So this Azure will help you to crack the interviews, or to showcase that you have knowledge on multi-cloud. Okay, because many of the companies are expecting multi-cloud knowledge from the candidates. So yeah. So we have different cloud platforms like Amazon Web Services, Azure. So AWS, Azure, and GCP, Google Cloud platforms. Okay, these are all the three different cloud platforms, or three different leading cloud platforms in the market. And many of them are attended AWS from Madhu's sessions, and a few of them are attended from my sessions. And also few of them are already having some knowledge on GCP also, Google Cloud Computing as well.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting. ఇది Azure DevOps and Azure just admin cloud గురించి మాత్రమే సార్.
So here we are discussing only of Azure infrastructure, not Azure DevOps.
Okay, sorry. Yeah,
Okay.
please continue.
Yeah. So AWS, Azure, GCP. So all these three different cloud platforms are to create an infrastructure in the cloud. Only the difference is the service names might be different. And also, when we are configuring it, there might be a few change, but the underlying concept is same. So when we discussed on AWS, or even from Madhu session or my session, we have seen how to create a network, how to create a virtual machine, how to create a load balancer, how to create an auto scaling, Route 53, whatever it is. So in Azure now, we will also try to learn a few equivalent services to that in Azure. So let's say, for example, load balancer in AWS, you already know about it. And we'll see load balancer in Azure. And we already know how to configure the load balancer in AWS. And here we'll see how to configure the load balancer in Azure. Similarly, other services as well. Okay. So because of keeping this, another cloud knowledge into your resumes, that will be very helpful, because simultaneously people are using two clouds at a time in the organizations. They were not completely depending on one particular cloud technology, so they were, putting a backup of other cloud also in their infrastructure. And you know about regions, availability zones in AWS. So here also we will have the same concepts: regions, availability zones, data centers. So everything will be same here. And you know how to create, an AWS account. So while creating an AWS account, generally what you'll do, you will be giving your email address and giving your card details and selecting the free account. And it's a free trial account, right? So in AWS, if I talk about a free trial account, so even it is a free trial or even it is a pay as you go, the account will be the same. But in free trial, you have access or you have some limit for some particular services. That doesn't mean that you cannot use other services. You can use it. But if you are going out of the free trial, it generates the bill and it gives you a notification or email notification to pay the bill in AWS. So similarly, you can also create Azure Microsoft account. You can also create Microsoft account. You can also create Azure Microsoft account. So here also, similarly, I mean, the way how you create in AWS. So here also you will go to the Google browser and you will say that create Microsoft account and you'll give your email address and it will ask for your card and you have to give your card. So within the account, we have a lot of differences between AWS and Azure. Let's try to understand that now. Okay. So if you wants to understand, about Azure account, you should able to understand about tenant subscription resource group. You have to understand about these three terminologies. You can't find these terminologies in AWS, right? So you'll simply create an account and you'll start using of a service. Yeah,
Sorry to interrupt. If I don't know about any cloud, can I start with this Azure cloud infrastructure
you can start.
training?
You can start.
Okay, thanks. Because I don't know about any other clouds, AWS or GCP.
Like
Just
that.
I wanted to start with the Azure cloud infrastructure. Is it
Yes.
okay?
It is fine. It is fine. So I was just bringing up other cloud terminologies because if they already knows about other cloud, so they can compare with that. So that is the reason I was just talking about. So there is no point like you should have AWS knowledge to learn this particular, to listen to this session on the Azure. Okay. So nothing to worry about it. So and that's good. Like you bring this point to me so that I can explain, very clearly now. Okay. Great. So generally, when we create an AWS account or Azure account or GCP account, the creation process will be the same. So account means so people who are very new to cloud. Let me try to let me make you understand about it. So if you are new to cloud, so generally we should understand first what is cloud. So what is a cloud? People who already know about AWS, they might easily understand. People who are new to cloud, so let me explain that. So people who are new to cloud, they should know about this. What is cloud? What is on premises? Okay. So what is an on premises? Before entering into the cloud, let's try to understand about what is on premises. So on premises, we will also call it as a physical infrastructure. See, any company, it can be an IT company, it can be e-commerce, It can be healthcare. It can be automobiles. Whatever it may be, the IT infrastructure should be the mandatory. So if you found anything like, if you look at DMart, there will be a billing application. So when you select all the products and you'll be going into the queue and your products will be scanned and the bill will get generated. Right. There is a billing application. If you go to the hospital, there will be a billing application, there will be a scans, there will be a lot of stuff. And if you go to Abibus, again it's an application. So all these applications or websites or web applications are where they are getting hosted on a server. Server means nothing but an IT, right? Server means it is a computer. So irrespective of a domain, everywhere there will be an IT infrastructure. It can be a physical infrastructure or it can be a cloud infrastructure. So there will be an IT infrastructure. Assume that there is a physical infrastructure or on-premises infrastructure. So what will be the common hardware that they need to procure to set up a physical infrastructure? Like server, switches, routers, cables, air conditioner, admin, power bill, power backup. So these are all the mandatory hardware that they should always need to set up a normal physical infrastructure. So see, setting up a physical infrastructure depends on based on a use case, right? See, assume that let's say we bought our laptops. So whenever we are buying a laptop, definitely there will be a use case of it. We won't generally go to the shopping and by closing our eyes, we can't select a particular laptop and we cannot bring it to our home, right? Always when we are doing something, it always depends on the requirement or a use case. So based on the requirement or a use case, you'll buy it. Let's say if you are buying a laptop to watch a movies, you will be buying around like 20,000 rupees or 22,000 rupees laptop. Let's say if you want to edit some applications or if you want to do something, obviously the configuration of a laptop will get increased. You'll go and buy some around 50,000 rupees of a laptop. It means based on your requirement, you are investing money there. Even it might be a small laptop or it can be a mobile or it can be anything. So that is how you will be selecting your hardwares. Let's say assume that if I want to build an application like manabadi.com or if I want to build an application like abibus.com, so I have to set up an infrastructure for that. It can be DMart or it can be Abibus or it can be hospital or it can be school or anything. If I want to set up infrastructure, I should spend some amount on this infrastructure. I should spend some amount on this infrastructure. How will I buy this infrastructure based on the requirement? Let's say for Abibus, I brought infrastructure. Like I'm on an assumption that I will definitely, uh, this application, like I'm assuming that this application is being used, like will definitely used by a lot of people, lot of users. And I brought a lot of use configuration. And later, my application is not get success. And no one is using it. So whatever the infrastructure that I invested there will be loss. Yes or no? So if I assume that my application will get success, and if I brought a lot of huge infrastructure, and if I set up an application there, and in reality, if no one is using my application, so all my infrastructure will be get lost. Because here the problem is not only investing that, the problem is also maintaining that. For investing, you need to spend some money. And also to maintain that, you need to spend a lot of money. So investment is lost, maintenance is also lost. So because of using this physical infrastructure, it leads to huge investment, at the same time difficult to maintain. So that is how people will move to the cloud. Then what are the advantages of moving into the cloud? So the advantages of moving into the cloud is you don't need to buy any single physical hardware. All you need to do is creating it virtually. All you need to do is creating it virtually. What is mean by virtual? What is physical and what is virtual? What is physical and what is virtual? Physical means if it is staying with you. Let's say if I'm using a computer, my computer is staying with me. I am the responsible person to maintain that for a charging or for a updates or whatever it is. My laptop is physically, my computer is physically with me. I can touch my computer. That is called physical. Then what about virtual? If a same computer, if you're creating in cloud, if you're not maintaining it, if you're not buying it, if you are just using it and if you're paying it, that is a virtual. It is not located physically with you. It is located physically at somewhere. And you're just using it and you're paying it. So it is called virtual. The difference between physical and virtual is if it is physically with you. Let's take another example of difference between physical and virtual. Assume that I have two mobiles. I have two mobiles. Let's say I have two mobiles. And if one mobile is having a memory card, if one mobile is having a memory card, this is a memory card. And it is mobile 1. And it is mobile 2. And let's say here I'm using some Google Drive instead of memory card. It's the latest mobile. So I'm using Drive. So now let's say here you are uploading the data into this mobile. So where your data will be get stored? Your data will be getting stored in the memory card. And let's say here, if you are uploading the data here, your data is getting in the drive. Now, if you lose your mobile 1, if you lost your mobile, so your data will be lost because there is a physical memory chip inside this mobile. The responsibility of memory card is yours. Coming to the example to mobile 2, if you lost your mobile, your data is not going to lose. Your data is storing in the drive. Drive means there is a machine which you can't see, which is maintained by that service provider. And your data is getting uploaded with the help of this application is here. So the example for physical is this. This is physical. So the example for virtual is this. This is virtual. So here, this is a machine where the Google Drive is hosted. So all your data, when you're using the Google Drive, is storing in another machine which you can't see. And you are retrieving the data, you're uploading the data into that particular machine. And that particular machine is maintained by service provider, Google Drive. Google is the service here. So that it will be maintained by Google. So this is nothing but a cloud. Instead of you maintaining it, someone else is maintaining that. Instead of you maintaining it, someone else is maintaining it. If it is a physical, you have to maintain it. You have to procure it. It will be with you. That is the difference between physical and virtual. Earlier days, when we go for an interview, it is a physical interview. We're supposed to travel there, sitting in that particular office location and giving an interview. But now, we are attending that interview, but we are not traveling there. We are sitting here in the home and we are attending that. And you are all attending the virtual class. You are all seeing the whiteboard, which is on my machine, which is not in your machine. If your computer is broken, this whiteboard will get stopped. No, it is in my place. I'm maintaining it. I'm your service provider. So that is the difference between physical and virtual. Okay. So cloud is nothing but a virtual. Instead of you maintaining it, someone else will maintain it. And you'll be just using it and you'll be paying for it. So earlier days, everyone's supposed to use these on-premises infrastructures and they're supposed to procure all these servers, switches, routers, cables, air conditioner, admin. So you might ask you why we required an air conditioner. See, my laptop that I'm using for to install the applications, I'm just using it. So 4 GB RAM or 8 GB RAM is sufficient. Because I'm not hosting it. There is a lot of difference between install and host. I'm just installing it. Hosting means the moment when I hosted some application on a machine, thousands of people will access that. Hundreds of users will access it. It is a host. It should respond to each and every request so that the configuration should be high. So whenever the configuration should be high and at the same time, it should be run 24/7, 365 days. 24/7, 365 days. So that the configuration should be more and the air conditioner should be there and it should not goes down, right? So that the power backup should be there. Power bill, there should be a person who will be maintaining it. So if it is a physical infrastructure, there will be a lot of stuff like this to maintain that. But if it is a cloud, whatever the machine, whatever the server or whatever the computer that you want, you can create it in any of these cloud platforms. And you don't need to invest anything here. You'll be just creating it and based on your usage, you'll be paying it. Based on your usage, you will be paying it. That is called cloud. So in cloud technology, there are different companies that they are offering this technology. Amazon, they have launched Amazon Web Services. Microsoft, they launched Microsoft Azure. Google, they launched Google Cloud Platform. So whatever the service provider that you want, you can pick and use it and you can pay for it. Okay. Yes or no, guys? Is it clear? Can I get some messages on the chat box? Are you all clear? Yes or no? Can I get some replies on the chat box? People from online? Great. So, yeah, coming to the Azure. So Azure, AWS, GCP, everything is same. Like if you think technically, only very few differences will be there, not more than that. Okay. So now we are talking about Azure here. Okay. So when I'm trying to tell something, I will try to compare with AWS because a lot of people who already enrolled the AWS course. And if you're new to cloud, nothing to worry. You can just concentrate on this. You don't feel, about what is in AWS. Don't think about it. Just listen to this AWS. So here, as I said, Azure account. Creating of an Azure account is very simple, like creating of your Flipkart account. And people who knows AWS, yes, creating like AWS account. Simply you should navigate to the Google browser and type create Azure account, and you have to, let me read out the question. May I know how many hours it will take to complete this Azure infrastructure? So this timings and all, don't bother about it. We'll discuss at the end of the sessions. Let's try to understand the technical part now. So by closing the session, I'll tell you, okay? So yeah. So creating of an Azure account, simply you'll navigate to the browser. You'll type create an Azure account. You give your Gmail, and it will ask you some, name, address and all. And after that, it will ask your card details, and you can provide the card details, and it won't charge anything. It just charge 2 rupees and it will return back. And in future also, even though if you practice, it won't charge anything from your card. Why it won't charge? I'll explain you that. Okay. So once you subscribe to the Azure account, so the hierarchy starts at tenant. Okay. Tenant ID. Tenant is something like an owner of your account. Tenant ID. It is like an account ID. In AWS, you will have an account ID for each and every account, right? That is how in Azure also, you will have a tenant ID, which is like account ID. Tenant ID is nothing but account ID. Okay. So I'll show you where you can see this account ID. And then you will have subscriptions. So while creating an account, by default, it creates a subscription also. In one single account, you can create multiple subscription. In single account, you can create a multiple subscription. People who already use AWS, in AWS, it will be an account and the billing will be considered for the whole account. Right? The billing will be considered for the whole account. Whatever you create, it's your account bill. But here, within the account, you will have the subscriptions. So each subscription will have a separate billing. Each subscription will have separate billing. Each subscription will have a separate billing. Like each subscription is like a separate account, like isolated account. When you create an account, by default, it creates one subscription, which is a free trial subscription, and they give around 17,000 rupees or 16,000 rupees in that particular subscription. It means up to 17,000 rupees, you can use this subscription. You don't need to pay. They are giving 17,000 rupees credits for you. It is like a credits. So you can use this. You don't need to pay for it. So because automatically whatever you use, it will be debited from that particular 17,000 rupees. Whatever you create, it will be debited from that particular credits. But if you remember, in AWS, when you create an account for free, like everything is same, like paid account or free account, whatever it is, the process will be same in the AWS. You will be working in the same account. If you want to pay for it at the end of the month, you will be paying the bill. Or if you are not interested to pay the bill, you will be ignoring that. Right. But here what Azure is doing is, whoever creates an account, they are giving a subscription, a free subscription for it. So you can use that particular free subscription. You can use that particular free subscription. And within that subscription, whatever you create, so that particular amount will be debited from this 17,000 rupees. Any resource that you create in Azure account, you have to specify that subscription, in which subscription that you want to create. You can create a virtual machine, you can create a load balancer, you can create an auto scaling, you can create anything. Whenever you create any resource, you have to specify the subscription. You have to specify the subscription. Then only you can go to the next step, or else you cannot go to the next step. And in future, let's say if you want to use it for a pay as you go, you want to pay the bill, you have to upgrade to the pay as you go subscriptions. You can create a new subscription. Create a new subscription. You can create a new subscription. So you can create multiple subscriptions. In organizations, what they do is for each and every environment, they will have a separate subscription, like prod environment, non-prod environment, UAT environment, sandbox environment. We will have a different environments, right? But in AWS account, what they do? They'll create a multiple accounts. So in Azure also, people will create a multiple accounts. They might be divide based on the environment, or they might be divide based on the application also. For example, within the Azure account, if they are having 3 applications, so they might maintain a 3 different subscriptions. So I mean, each subscription is like a separate isolated account. Each subscription is like a separate isolated account. Within the same Azure account, if they want to maintain a 3 different subscriptions, they can maintain a 3 different subscriptions for 3 different applications. But when you create an account, you'll be getting a free tier subscription. If you want to create any new subscription, you have to subscribe for pay as you go. And within the subscription, again, we have a resource groups. Within the subscription, you have a resource groups. Remember this: tenant, subscription, resource group. Let me add like this. So let's say this is account. This is a tenant. And within the tenant, you will be having a subscriptions. You'll be having a subscriptions. And within the subscription, you will have a resource groups. Resource groups. We will be having a resource groups. This is a resource groups. So it is a tenant, and within the tenant we have the subscriptions, and within the subscription you have the resource groups. Within the subscription you have the resource groups. For any resource that you create in Azure, you should select in which subscription that you want to create and in which resource group that you want to create. Okay, tenant, subscriptions, resource groups. Now, resource groups. So you know what is a subscription now. So subscription is like an isolated account which will have a separate billing. So subscription 1 will have a separate billing. Subscription 2 will have a separate billing, so that you can track like for each and every application, like how much bill that it is getting generated. And resource group. Any resource what you create in Azure, you can create in the resource group. So in the name itself, you can easily understand, right? It is just a group of our resources. Resource group is nothing but it is just group of our resources. So here, let's say, for example, I'm creating one virtual machine and I'm creating one load balancer, whatever it is, for one POC. So I can put all these resources into a single group. Later on, if I want to delete, I don't need to navigate to each and every service to delete. Simply, if I delete the resource group, everything will be get deleted. And one more thing, if I want to track what are the resources that I created, simply if I navigate to the resource group, and within the resource group, I can easily identify that whatever the resources that I created. In a tenant, inside the subscription, in a tenant, inside the subscription, inside the resource groups, let's say if I created 10 resources, by selecting a particular resource group, simply I can navigate to that particular resource group and I can see whatever the resources that I created in single page. No need to navigate to each and every service. Simply I can able to see there. Okay. So after that, if I want to delete or if I want to delete any particular specific resource, I can able to manage it from the resource group. That is called tenant, subscriptions, and resource group. Let's say, for example, let me go to the Azure portal. Let me share the screen after navigating to the Azure portal. Sign in again. Share the screen. Yeah. So this is the Azure account. This is the Azure account. So if you click on the right side, you can see my Microsoft account. And left side, if you click on these 3 lines, these are all the services which are available in Azure account. You can see resource groups, function app, databases, virtual machines, load balancers, storage account. People who already have some idea on AWS, they can easily understand this console. This is a console basically. So console means is not a new technology. Console means the place where, for example, if you create a Flipkart account, the moment once you logged into the Flipkart account, you can able to order all the products which are available in the Flipkart account, right? The place where you can stand and where you can able to see all the products which are available, that is called a console. Similarly, for each and every user, once they logged in, then they can able to see all the services which are available in that particular account. So that is nothing but a console. So we are in the Azure console and we are with the free trial subscription. So let's say if you go to you click on the enter ID, you can see the tenant ID here. So you should navigate to the enter ID. There you can see the tenant ID. So this is the tenant. Okay. So now if I go to the subscriptions, we go to the subscriptions. So you can see this. This is a free trial subscription. This is a free trial subscription. So currently it is 0. We have not generated any bill here. Okay. So you can see the notification button, 16,700 rupees credit remaining. Subscription free tail has remaining credit of 16,700 rupees. If you want to upgrade, you can upgrade to pay as you go subscription. If you upgrade to those subscriptions, you have to pay for it. You have to pay for it. So at the subscription level also, you can cancel the subscriptions if you want. Because let's say if I did any POC of any application in a different subscription, and in future, if I wanted to delete it, I can delete the subscriptions as well. So 16,700 rupees is free trail. So all we are going to work is in the free trail subscription, so that whatever we create, any resource, so that amount will be debited from this particular remaining credits. This is a subscription. Click on the overview. So every subscription will have the subscription ID, and this is having an admin. So this is an offer free trial subscription. Okay. So we do not have any invoices and all. As of now, we have not generated any invoice. This is the new account which I created yesterday to show it to you. Okay. So cost management, billing. So if you know AWS, generally we will do all this at the account level in AWS. On the top right side, you will be going to the account, and you'll be going to the account management, and you can see all the billings, invoices, payment methods, anything. But here you will be seeing everything at the subscription level. So in the organizations also, what they do is in the real time, they won't provide you access to all the subscriptions. So every organization will have a different subscriptions, and based on the work that you have in that particular subscription, they will provide you the access for that particular subscription. So you can see the budgets and invoices, payment methods, everything. This is the subscription. And now resource groups. If I go and search everything, whatever the service that you want to explore, simply you can go to the top search and you can search it. Copilot. So they were giving the inbuilt here. Copilot is something like a ChatGPT. If you click on this here, there will be a something will get generated here. AI tool. Simply. So let's say, for example, I want to create virtual machine. Enter. How? So it is like a chat GPT which is giving inbuilt here. So it just generates some steps or whatever it is. Okay. That is so. See, go to the Azure portal, click on create resource, go to the compute, click on virtual machine. It will give the each and every step and the links as well. It is like a chat GPT copilot. So now if I go to the resource groups, I click on the resource groups here. So you can create a resource groups here. Click on create resource group. See, whenever you're creating a resource group, it is asking for a subscription, and we are giving the name like, let's say, for example, Azure. Okay. 1 second. Sorry, 1 second. Yeah. So Azure RG. Okay. So we created it. Region. Every resource, whatever you create. In general, in AWS, people who know about AWS, we will select region at top right side. We will select the region at top right side at the account level. But here, whenever you create any resource, you will be selecting the region within those steps. Let's say here we have the Asia Pacific. say India, we will select. Okay, let me select this. Click on next. And tags is something like whenever you create, you can give anything, let's say created by Santosh. Okay, review and create. Validation is passed, and just click on create. So the resource group is created within the free trial subscription. Clear? This is how we can create a resource group. If you click on the resource group, as of now, you can see the resources. We do not have any resources. This is an empty resource group, which is in the free trial subscription. Now, in future, whenever you create any resource, you have to select the subscription, you have to select the resource group, you have to select the region. So if you navigate to that particular resource group, you can able to identify whatever the resources are created in that particular resource group. Okay, so my best practice is, because every day we will be creating or we will be learning a new service, right? Every day it will be difficult for us to navigate to that particular service and delete that particular service. So every day create one resource group before you start practicing. Every day create one new resource group before you start practicing. And once your practice is done, simply navigate to that particular resource group and delete the resource group. So that is how we can use our credits very limitedly and we can use it for a long time. Clear? So this is about subscription. This is about a resource group and tenant ID. Okay. People who have not created your AWS accounts, it is very simple. Just go to the new browser and go to the Google and just type create Azure account and click on this Microsoft Get account. So it will show you this. Try Azure for free. If you click on try Azure for free, so it will ask you like this: use another account and give your email ID. And after that, it will take you to the address details. After that, payment details. So if you have any blocker while creating this Azure account, so Mentor will definitely help you to complete this your account creation. And once after creating your account, by tomorrow, you all should be ready with your resource. You all should be ready with your resource group. Let me go back. Sign in. Yes. So you can go here and get ready with creating of a resource group. Understood? Clear everyone? Yes or no? Are you good with subscriptions, resource group, tenant ID? Any doubts from these three? Why do we create? Why do we have a tenant ID? Tenant ID is nothing but an account ID. Subscription will have an isolated billing. Resource group, grouping of all your created resources. Yes or no, guys? Is it clear? Everyone? Okay. Now, so what we are going to cover for next couple of, next 10 classes or 15 classes. So this will be covered few services like load balancer, auto scaling, virtual machines, database, monitoring, storages, backups, and a couple of other things. Along with that, after this, we will also have some kind of fundamentals on DevOps, like what is a Terraform, how you can deploy the infrastructure using of a Terraform, and what is a pipeline, CI/CD pipeline, what is a Jenkins pipeline, and how you can deploy your Terraform templates using of a different pipelines. So we will all see this as well, along with this Azure. Okay. So people who already attended Madhu's session on AWS, so please, you can, it will be very helpful for you to enroll this, because you already have the knowledge on AWS and DevOps. So that will be very helpful to add in your resumes this Azure. And people who enrolled my sessions, they're already getting continued with this, already having AWS and Azure fundamentals, then you can put it in the resumes. And people who are new, who are not having an AWS knowledge, so you can start with Azure. And if you need it, later on, you can easily, continue with our other AWS classes. After the Azure, you can also start with AWS as well. Continuously, you can enroll for AWS course as well. And people who know about this AWS and Azure, and if they want to enroll the DevOps, so after this, you can easily enroll to Madhu's DevOps course, and you can get AWS, Azure, and DevOps as well in your resumes, which is more than enough to get a job, which is very, very more than enough to get a job. Clear, guys, what we are discussing so far? What we have discussed so far, and what we are going to cover in the future as well? Yes or no? Everyone understood? So now I'm open to questions, guys. If you have any questions now, you can unmute and you can ask. I'll be answering your questions. Any question, it can be related to the course, or it can be related to AWS or Azure or whatever it is. So you can unmute and you can ask your questions. So any questions, you can unmute and you can ask. If you have any confusion, whatever we're discussing, or how we are going to take this, any questions, you can unmute and you can ask. If you do not have any doubts, you can leave, or if you have any doubt, you can stay back and you can unmute and you can ask me, or you can also put it in the chat box as well. With this, I can get 2 to 3 years of experience level as Azure Cloud Admin. So you will get, but the experience or whatever it is, it will be depends on how you practice. Because if I say that if you attend this 15-day session, you'll get 2 to 3 years of experience, that should be a false promise. It all depends on the services we cover, fundamental services, but it depends on how you practice it. If you already have the AWS, that will be definitely a 3 to 4 years of experience of it. Any other questions, guys? Any other questions? You can unmute and you can ask if you have any questions. Yeah, you can also get the recording sessions as well.